This is part 3, the final part of my 3-part series of videos listening to the brand new Imagine Dragons album, LOOM. Let's get into it.
You gotta get yourself together, kid. You gotta get it together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. And as I've already said, this is part 3. This is the final part. What I hope to do in this video is listen to the final 4 songs on the new Imagine Dragons album, LOOM. So far, I have listened to the first 3 in part 1 and the second 3 in part 2. And if all goes to plan, I'll finish the album in this part of the video, and then I will talk about my overall thoughts of the album here. So if you want to hear anything before this or anything after this moment in time right now that you're hearing, you can look on the timeline in the description. I'll have timestamps, so you can skip to whatever you want to listen to. If there's a chance, I suppose, that 4 songs is just too much for YouTube to allow anyone to use in their videos, and I have to split this video up into 2 songs and another 2 songs, I'll do that if I have to. No big deal. I'll try to make everything as obvious as possible with the thumbnails and the titling of the video and everything like that. So if you see 4 videos, if you see this video is very short, only 2 songs, you'll know what happens. You'll know there's one more part to this. But if everything goes to plan, like I said, we'll be able to finish this reaction here in this video. So far I've enjoyed the album. This album has done exactly what I wanted it to do, which was be varied from song to song. That's not what they did on their previous albums, Mercury 1 and Mercury 2, Act 2. So let's continue along with this. The last 2 songs in particular, well, I guess the last 3 songs have been very different. We got a nice sort of like trip hop sounding beat one with a nice hi-hat sample sound, really nice sounding. And then we had these nice strings in the song, and then the last 40 seconds of the song were basically just a string part. Very nice, very different and unexpected. Then the next track was a reggae influenced song, so that was very unexpected. So let's keep this train rolling, and we'll see what we get to finish this album off. So, we are to track 7, Don't Forget Me, starting in 3, 2, 1. Piano. And an electric guitar, it sounds like. Okay, maybe more of a ballad. Very nice.
Tried to forget you, but can't find the way. Guess that's just life, I suppose. But I miss you when you're gone, and I know that life moves on. But I can't.
What are we gonna do for the chorus? Is it gonna get really big?
Please don't forget about me.
Ooh, love that kick drum. Massive. Massive kick drum sound. Interesting. This could be I feel like this could be a single. I don't know for the record if any of these songs have been played on the radio. I'm sure some have. I'm sure there's a lead single. I don't ever listen to the radio. I don't know what's popular, so. Love the voice crack there. Love the tom drum sort of lead in there. Very interesting. Kind of weird how they're splitting the word for get me up. Love that. Sounds like a piano, but it could be synth type thing. But yeah, love that. It's nice to just hear piano, right? Something that's organic, that's based in reality.
Yeah. I won't forget you.
It always bothers me when vocalists separate words like that. It's weird. But pretty catchy. I could see people singing along with this. Very simple. It's kind of their thing, though. Love that flitty piano. Okay, so great. That was nice. Starting with piano, that was more of a ballad. It definitely felt slower. Felt less in your face, but it also felt massive during the chorus, which I loved. The tom drums there were the thing that was... I haven't heard a tom drum so far. I don't think this whole album. So that's very nice, very different. Having the inclusion of the toms, you know... I should have been paying attention to the bass, because... I bet I would have heard bass guitar in there, but I wasn't paying attention to that at all, unfortunately. I was thinking about all other stuff the whole time. But I bet that would have been a good song to have real bass in there. If not, just some low synth bass notes, whatever, would do exactly what they needed it to do, especially during the chorus. But I loved having the piano in there. That was nice. Then having that flitty sort of part was very nice on the piano. Kind of, again, taking everything, grounding it in something we're familiar with as an actual instrument, rather than having every sound that you're hearing be created in the box. Which, if you haven't watched my other videos and you're just here for this, go watch those videos first, or just, watch whatever you want, no big deal. But I think that what Imagine Dragons needed to do with this album was ground it a little bit more in reality. And I feel like they've done a good job of that so far. And I feel like as the album's been going on and on and on, we've gotten a little bit more grounded in reality. And when I say grounded in reality, I mean sounds we're hearing sound like a real drum, sound like a piano, sound like a guitar, some sort of an instrument that someone has in their hand that can be played and performed, rather than just everything being placed on a grid, in a computer. Which, again, I've said it in every video, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think that that Imagine Dragons music has gotten stale over time, and one very easy and very awesome way, I think, to fix that would be to bring it back a little bit to sort of the beginning of their career, where they were still kind of a band, and let them use some of those sounds that are a little bit more grounded in reality, and get a little bit further away from their... crazy hip-hop feeling, very minimalistic songs that were on like Mercury Act 1 and 2. They did have big hits with the I think recently they just did a song for it was an Xbox thing, I think. What was it? Or no, it was Epic Games. It was Fortnite or something I think with Epic. And or maybe it wasn't Rocket League. Maybe, I don't think so. But it was, they had that the Enemy song. Then they had a song for League of Legends as well, and now they have had this newer thing, and I don't know what it was. I didn't know if it was going to be on this album or not, so I haven't really listened to that at all. But I think those songs, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, I think those songs are a little bit more rock feeling, and I definitely saw them perform that Enemy song on stage with the guy who's the sort of rapper or whatever in that song. I think it was actually a different rapper than performs on the song. In the Enemy song, the Arcane intro for the Netflix TV show for League of Legends, which is what Arcane is based off of. That they did like a rock performance there, and so maybe when they do perform live, they perform all these songs as rock songs. I don't know, but I like the idea of them bringing in those more sort of organic elements. I think that will help this feel different than the last few albums, which to me have felt very stale. So let's continue on to Kid. 2:39, very shortest song on the album? Yes. This is Kid in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Real bass sounds like distorted vocals. Totally different sounding, everything dry so far. The snare drum sounds nice. The drums sound completely different. Very nice. Still samples, I believe. Oh, that's cool. The distorted vocal in there is very neat. Could be guitar there. That sounds nice. I like that ding, 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 ding type thing we heard there for a second in the middle of the chorus, I think. Ooh, what is that? Very cool. This is very Smoke and Mirrors with that the sounds, right? The background atmosphere. And also that's just straight up strummed electric guitar. It's like some oscillating synth bass thing again. I wish they would just release a straight up album as a rock band. Just not metal heavy or anything like that, but just like a heavy, you know, whatever, maybe some 90s influence in there. He's such a good vocalist, and I feel like they could do so many cool things like that, but they're kind of stuck in this hip hop beat groovy thing, which I like, I enjoy. I think that the influences they've had on pop music over the last decade are positive influences that I definitely really like. So yeah, that was probably, in my opinion, the best sounding album on the song on the album. I keep saying album instead of song. You can tell I haven't recorded a video in a while. That was the best sounding song on the album. I liked the dryness of everything. There was, I think, one other song on the album that felt very dry, and then during the chorus it got very big. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been Take Me to the Beach, which is very different in and of itself. But that one felt like it could be a single on the radio. It was very short. Could be a TikTok-y type of song. Loved the drum beat, in your face, right away when it started. The bass was a real bass guitar, I think. It sounded very nice. And then they had that sort of type sound at the beginning. And then they didn't have it in the first chorus at all. Second chorus, they had it at the beginning of the first measure and the third measure. Or the first round, I guess, round, the third round. I think I'll say measure. If the chorus is 4 measures, it's probably not 4 measures. It's probably 8 measures. So it would have been at the beginning of the first measure and the beginning of the fourth or fifth measure. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Hopefully you know what I mean. And then in the last chorus, when the chorus came back at the end after the bridge, it was there at the beginning of every measure. So that was nice. They added it to it. Gives the song a feeling of momentum. Gives the song a feeling of building. That's very nice. And I like that song a lot. I would have loved for there to be a little bit longer of a more substantial bridge there. But unfortunately, with modern music becoming shorter and shorter, bridges are the sections of songs that are just basically going away. And so I'm at least happy that they put a little bit of one in there. So, and it wasn't just verse, chorus, song over. I really hate that. So I appreciate that. All right, this is the second longest song on the album. This is the penultimate song. This is Fire in These Hills. Love that song title. Let's see what they've got for us. In 3, 2, 1. Piano. That very reverby, faraway vocal that they do. Vocal sample almost. Delay on it as well.
And I know you think about everything that I did.
Very dry, very, very different than that first vocal sample we heard. Love it.
Staying up these nights, drinking everything.
Saxophone.
I got nothing without you. I fear I might die alone. I fear I might knock and no one's home. Staying up these nights thinking everything that I did wrong to.
I hate saxophones, by the way. Worst sounding instrument.
I'm strong enough. I'm never enough. 'Cause there's fire in these hills.
Okay. I was going to say, you know what would shock me the most if they didn't come in with a rap beat. Now, I'm sure it will come in here, probably second verse, but this is the first chorus, I think. Fire, thunder. I love that pattern. Yeah. Drums coming in now. Ha ha! Bass. Bass guitar. Let's go. Let's be a band as much as we can.
I fear I might wreck this home. I fear I might knock and no one comes. And I know you think about everything that I did wrong, but I do too. Cause there's fire in these hills, and I think I've lost my will.
Now, they're from California. He was talking about beaches and stuff. I'm pretty sure California. And there's been lots of fires in California, lots of forest fires, which really sucks. Of course, fire in these hills could also be some sort of metaphor for, you know, who knows what. Oh, electric guitar. Yeah. You know, that sample of that saxophone or whatever it is very interesting. It's not doing a saxophone-y things. It's... Oh, that's cool. A little vocoder part in there. Vocoder, rhythmic vocoder thing. Reverse piano. All the elements come together. Oh, that's the end of it. Dang. I was ready for that song to kick off and keep going. That was nice. Okay, that was one of the most different songs we've had on this whole album because it didn't break out into some sort of like a... Right? And I loved it for that. I liked what it was doing. I liked the vibe of it. Ethereal. Slower. Never got enormous. Every chorus built, right? First chorus had no drums really, a little bit of hint to that the like hi-hat sample stuff. And then right away at the beginning of the second verse, not the first measure, but like second or third measure of the second verse, the drums kind of kicked in, a little bass, and then kept going through the second chorus, and then during the bridge, you had that like, I don't know how, I can't really, I guess, do it, but like that vocal sample that was then like a vocoder type thing with a rhythmic effect on top of it, and then everything stopped, and then that reverse piano note, and then everything, all the different elements of the song came together, including that saxophone thing, to create the final chorus. And again, I love that. It's building to something. It's adding elements within the song. The song is its journey within itself, and it completes the journey. You start somewhere, and you go somewhere, and you feel like you're satisfied when it's done. And I can want no more from a song than that. Other than maybe, this there. Whatever. But I enjoyed that. Not my favorite song on the album. I'm a sucker for all these like hip hop beats that I keep talking about that I want them to do something different of. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. And I wish more bands would incorporate things like that in their music. And whenever a band does, I really like that a lot. For example, I was listening to the most recent Bad Omens album, the last video we have out on the channel, I think. And there's one song where they have this like sweet sort of hip hop trip hop drum beat that comes in, and I was like, this is freaking awesome. And it reminded me of Imagine Dragons because that's the kind of thing that they do all the time in every song. But the thing that makes this album special so far is all the other elements that they've had. All right, we're on to the last song on the album, And I'm going to guess that this is a more upbeat song because the song we just got sounded like it could have been a last song on an album. Instead, I think what we're going to get is what could possibly be another single. It's been more common nowadays, I feel, for bands to end an album with one of their a song that could be a big song as well, rather than sort of front-loading an album. Though I do think this album was a little front-loaded with those first 3 songs. Those are probably the singles, if I had to guess. Plus Kid, definitely being a single potential. So this is Eyes Closed, the final song off of Imagine Dragons' Loom. In 3, 2, 1.
I could do this with my eyes closed.
Oh, wait. We already heard Eyes Closed. I'm dumb. So this must be featuring... I'm so stupid. So that was actually the last song, and this is probably featuring a guest artist. I'm so dumb.
The wrath and the grit from the pit of despair, been taking every whip and word, I've never been spared. They say tomorrow's never promised, honest. They say the angels.
Hey, that sounds like an electric guitar. I don't know if I pointed that out the first time.
Lock me up in the maze. Turn out the lights. I was born, I was raised for this. Turn out the lights. Lock me up inside a cage. Just throw away the key, don't worry about me.
Are we going to get a rap verse in here, or what's going on?
I could do this with my eyes closed. Turn out the lights. I could do this with my eyes closed. Turn out the lights.
La tormenta no ha podido sacudir mi palma.
Spanish. A Spanish verse. Featuring J Balvin. You know I knew that. Okay, so Eyes Closed is definitely their biggest song off of here. It's got 66 million plays. Then Nice to Meet You track 2. Then Wake Up. This one has almost 20 million. Like that. Oh. Sorry, hold on. I just had my mind blown. Wait, I don't know what this is now. I'm disappointed. All right, sorry. I don't get distracted.
Trust you will know. Lock me up in the maze. Turn out the lights. I was born, I was raised for this. Turn out the lights. Lock me up inside.
It feels like it's one of their other songs. I like the Spanish vocals though. I love that Spanish-speaking artists are just getting huge radio play. I mean, again, being a WWE fan, Bad Bunny, I would have no clue who he was if it wasn't for the WWE. But I know he was like the most #1 played artist last year, or the year before. We might already be a year past the year that he was in the WWE. But I think it was last year. But that's incredible to me, and I love that. And I have been a big proponent my whole adult life of listening to music in languages that I do not speak. I've said it a million times, and I'll say it a million times more. I'll shout it from the rooftops. When you listen to music that's in a language you don't speak, it frees you from the burden of having to relate to the lyrics at all. You don't have to pretend you know what the song's about. You don't have to care what the song's about. The vocals can just become another instrument, which is what the vocals generally are to me anyway. Lyrics are the least important part of a song to me. In general, in most cases. Obviously, there's some things that break out of that mold, like Leonard Cohen, for example. But, okay, so let's talk about this album as a whole now. I enjoy it much more than anything that was on Mercury Acts 1 or 2. Now, I really only listened to those albums maybe once or twice, and I think I only listened to Act 2 once all the way through, and so I do remember there being certain things here or there that were interesting, but as whole albums, completely uninteresting. So, there's that. This album is better than that, in my opinion, way better. I would say that I think I like it better than Evolve, which would mean of all the albums of theirs that I've heard that are like full albums, this would probably be my third favorite of their albums. I haven't heard the Wreck-It Ralph one, so I don't know much about that album at all. But, and maybe I'm even missing one in there somewhere that I totally skipped. I don't even know. But I liked it. This album did exactly what I wanted it to do, and that was give me a variety, right? I want you to not necessarily surprise me from song to song, but give me something different in each song. You know, when you're a band like Imagine Dragons and you can do anything you want to in any song within reason, I like it when bands take advantage of that. You know, I'm sure the budget for this was unlimited. So the fact that we got what we got here is really nice. You know, I do think that they could have put more effort into making it the sonic quality of this like as high as it could possibly be. They did not do that with this. It's a very contained sounding album. Everything is mostly in the middle that you're hearing. And then there's certain things that get a little bit wider during the choruses. And that's fine. That's a totally acceptable way of mixing everything. There aren't very many elements happening during the verses of the song that you could spread wide. And so, but I do think that this album could have been mixed a little bit better. The high frequencies throughout the whole album, I feel like they were brought down. There was a low pass filter set, not egregious. I wouldn't say that this wouldn't stop me listening to this album like other albums have in the past. For example, the Lights Dead album that came out, her companion album to Pep, that album is really bad. The Heavy's most recent album, which I couldn't even make it through because it's just so egregiously missing all the every frequency on that album above 2,000 hertz is cut completely. It's atrociously bad. Like, it is an affront to music how bad that album sounds. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. This is not even anywhere close to that. This is still very much acceptable. However, for a band that's one of the biggest bands on the planet, there's really no excuse to not have your album sound as good as humanly possible when you're considered, I would say, one of the top 5 biggest acts in the world. And let me know if I'm way wrong with that. You know, I mean, their songs only have 66 million plays or whatever from this album, but that's quite a bit. And I bet if I went and looked at their actual Spotify thing, which I'm not going to waste time doing, they are probably one of the highest played. Although, I don't know, Spotify is a representative of a global market as well, so that's quite a bit different, and I appreciate that about it. Drums were great across the album, as I would have expected, and they were a lot more varied in terms of the sounds that they were doing. The drum beats themselves were pretty similar to, there was really nothing that they haven't done before. However, on their first few albums, they really spent all of their... They spent all of their creative cash, I guess, on exploring every possible way that drums can be used and percussion can be used in a song. So that on Night Visions and Smoke and Mirrors, every song felt different from a percussion and drum standpoint. And at some point, they got to the level where they're like, we can't do anything that sounds different because we've already done everything that's possible. And I know that that's not true, but hopefully you understand what I'm talking about. And then at that point, I feel like they got a little bit more stale. Of course, they've had huge songs with Thunder and Natural and all those things. And those songs all have unique individual things about them on top of just being a very well-written, catchy song. But then with Mercury, Acts 1 and 2, just totally bland-sounding music, in my opinion. This album's so much better than that. Every song felt like they were trying to do something a little bit different with it, right? Just the sounds you were hearing were a little bit different. And we started off the album with those first few songs without very many sort of the more organic sounds that I was talking about. And then as the album went on, we got more piano. We got an acoustic guitar-based song. We got a few things like that. And that was very exciting to me. And I was really enjoying those elements being on the album. And so I really wish that Imagine Dragons would just like take the formula they have and throw it all away and just be like, we are going to hire a record producer, someone totally new, maybe keep the guys that they've been working with, but hire someone else to be just above them, the level above them. Go to a recording studio and make an album as a band. I think that would be so cool. It would be so fresh and different for them. And I feel like they have the talent and the songwriting skills and the technical prowess to be able to actually do an interesting sounding album. And I'm not saying they have to make a huge rock album. I don't want them to try to sound like Nirvana. I don't want them to sound like Metallica. It'd be great if they could do those things like that, but they don't have to have heavy music. I just want something that sounds so different from what they've been doing. They can still have drum beats like they've had. They can have all the elements they've been using. Just create those elements with your instruments that you're going to use on stage. And I don't care how they perform live at all. Get that out of your head, because I don't care about that. I'm just talking about recording in a studio. I think it'd be really cool for them to do that, but I don't want to spend too long talking about what I want them to do. Who am I? I'm just some dumb guy with an opinion. So I think this album was a nice surprise to me. It was not a disappointment, which it very much could have been. And I think the fact that it wasn't disappointing, that's a low bar, to have. But I do appreciate the fact that it didn't disappoint me. It didn't do the easy thing. They wrote good songs, some of which I was most impressed with the fact that some of the songs clearly weren't necessarily trying to be big hit songs. And I liked that. I said during that, do I still have the songs pulled up? I do. I said during Take Me to the Beach that that song did not feel like they were trying. That song felt like a personal song that they wanted to make because of the message of that song. And they weren't trying to just make a number one hit song, And I'll bet you that their record label or whoever's, the person that says yay or nay to things, I'll bet they said nay to that. And they were like, Imagine Dragons is like, no, we're making you millions of dollars. We say yay, and we get to keep this on the album. And I'm very happy for that. I think that's great. And that's almost one of the most impressive things about this album to me, even though that was one of my least favorite songs, I would say, on the album. Then the next track, In Your Corner, was the one that had really nice, I'm pretty sure this was the one, had really nice hip-hop groove to it. I loved the hi-hat feel of it, and then it had those strings. And the structure of that song was different from any of the other songs in the album. It was verse 1, verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, and then they did kind of repeat the chorus a little bit, but they kind of meandered it a little bit, and then they kind of brought some strings in and slowly, got rid of all the other elements of the song, and it ended up just being strings by itself, doing this really pretty nice melody for like the last 30 seconds of the song, which on an album where all the songs are just basically like 2 minutes and 45 seconds long, 30 seconds is like a third of your song. Not a third, but you know what I mean? It's like a sixth of your song. And so that's really nice and fresh and not something that's probably going to get played on the radio. And I really appreciate that. So again, though, not my favorite way to end a song, because I like to go back to the chorus one last time. But still impressive, and I appreciate that decision and the fact that they were even allowed to make it a lot. So I applaud them for that. I thought Kid was a great song. I wish it was a little bit longer, and it probably would have been my favorite song on the album. I really did like Eyes Closed. That was that's just kind of quintessential them. I think Don't Forget Me was nice. Fire in These Hills was very different. Don't Forget Me was the reggae one, I believe. And that was neat. I liked the bass part combined with the, I believe it was electric guitars, just playing low notes on a single string, kind of spaced out wide in the chorus. Very nice. Different sounding. You know, every one of these songs did have different elements in them. And I don't say that just about Imagine Dragons. I say that about all the bands that I truly love. It's a band willing to put those sprinkles, right? I always call them sprinkles. What are the things you're hearing in a song? Now, this doesn't necessarily apply to Imagine Dragons, but the bands that I love that are always my favorites, they have such interesting sprinkles, right? What are you hearing when you listen to a song that is a band and you get rid of the guitar, bass, drums, and vocals? What are you left hearing? It's the bands that do creative things in that context. Synth pads, synths, pianos, keyboards, auxiliary percussion, gang vocals, background vocals, harmony vocals, samples, all, drum loops, all these things that aren't the core guitar, bass, drums, vocals. Those are what determine, for me personally, whether a band is a standout band or just a generic rock band or a generic sounding band. And with a band like Imagine Dragons, where almost everything you're hearing is synthetic and created and everything you're hearing is basically just sprinkles, it is a little bit harder to differentiate and separate. But what they did was they basically had different ways to approach every song sonically, throwing just one little instrument or one thing in there. With Eyes Closed, it was that sort of dubstep-y oscillating synth bass thing. That was neat. It was sort of a refrain in this song. It happened all 3 times after the chorus. So that was clearly a focal point of the song, something you were supposed to focus on and pay attention to and anticipate in the song coming up again. And that was nice. None of the other songs really had a moment like that where it was a instrumental part that you're supposed to anticipate and appreciate all 3 times the chorus is done. The drum beats usually are the things that in Imagine Dragons songs from song to song are very different and that you look forward to. Again, I go back to Radioactive and Demons for the perfect examples of that. And on this album, I feel like the drums didn't necessarily have a ton of variety between them. They did, but they were all kind of coming from the same place. I think that Kid had a very different approach to that, and that's why I like the drums on that one probably the most. I did like the drums on In Your Corner as well. That was the one where I think I mentioned the hi-hat sample. And then you have songs like Nice to Meet You, which was 4 to the Floor, which was sort of similar to Gods Don't Pray. And then we have the, I think which one was Don't Forget Me was the reggae-ish one, which was different sounding as well. Fire in These Hills had the least amount of drums on any of the album, so I really appreciated that. And I think that what I'm talking about now, the difference between song to song, is the thing that I will be left with when I walk away from this reaction and I listen to this album again over the rest of this year. I will say right now, I don't think that I was as blown away by any of these songs as I kind of hoped I would be. So I don't think that this album will be on my list of my top 12 albums of the year, which if you're new to my channel here, know that for the last, I think 12 years at this point, I've been doing 14 years actually for me personally. This year will be the 14th year. I've been doing a top 12 albums of the year list since 2010. And I really put a lot of effort into those lists, that video that I make every year here on my channel. And I don't think that this album will make it there. We've had so many great albums released this year, and we have so many other albums yet to look forward to. And that was why I was shocked at the end of the video here. I just clicked on One Republic to just see what, if they had a new single or something out, because One Republic is a band I love in the same way that I love Imagine Dragons. And I actually think that I might look like One Republic a little bit more, but I think that the highs that Imagine Dragons have are maybe higher than the highest highs One Republic has, but I don't know, that's neither here nor there. But it looks like they have an album coming out that's called Artificial Paradise. And it comes out in 1 day, 4 hours, 12 minutes, and 50 seconds as of my recording this. They have a countdown on Spotify. And I had no clue this was coming out. Now, I don't know what this is. If it's just a full-on album, I have no clue. There's a Mirage song from Assassin's Creed Mirage. It says Nobody from Kaiju number 8. I don't know what Kaiju number 8 is. Possibly an anime or something. I don't know. There's a song with David Guetta they have. Medusa, Fire, official UEFA Euro 2024 song. But this is the deluxe edition I'm looking at. But it's, I don't know. But I was shocked to see this because I had no clue that One Republic had a new album coming out. So I'm really, something I'm looking forward to. I don't know if I'll do a reaction to that or not. I don't know if I want to waste my time with 1.5-minute long songs. So, okay, well, that's something to look forward to at least. And I don't even know why I looked them up. I guess they came up when I was looking up Imagine Dragons on Spotify to see who is the guest artist on that last track. I feel really stupid that I didn't realize that that was the name of the same song, like track 3 and track 10 are the same song. And the files I was using here are they didn't have the guest artist listed on track 10 there, so. All right, well, thank you very much for watching these 3 videos. I'll say one more time, even though at this point it's irrelevant. Actually, I'm not even going to bother saying it because it's already past that point here. But if I can't make this 3 videos, I'll just make it 1. The audio won't be in it. No one will watch the video. A big bummer, but at least I'll have a record for the fact that I listened to this album. Hopefully my plan works, though. And in the future, moving forward, if it does work, and cutting these popular bands' albums up into bite-sized chunks rather than single songs, if that works, we'll do that moving forward with the bigger, more popular albums, unless we know for sure that a band allows the use of their songs. But anyway, that's all in the future. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for checking out the channel, and I hope you all have a great day, great week, great month, and a great rest of the year. Thank you for all the thoughts about the cancer stuff. Should be finding out in 2 weeks after the bone marrow biopsy done tomorrow. We'll be finding out in 2 weeks what's going on, and I'm sure I'll have a video recorded talking about it at some point. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you all next time.